Okay, so the summer that I graduated from high school, I turned 18 years old, and I got a job at the Seawain Country Club on Long Island in New York, and it was a very swanky club. And I was a busgirl. And there were a bunch of college kids that worked there for the summer, but there was also a whole bunch of wait staff that were there full-time jobs, right? They were like the lifers. And there was one waitress who had been there forever, and her name was Rosemary, and she looked like she was 60, but she was probably closer to 40. And when the manager wasn't around, she kind of like ran the joint. And she sent me out to the clubhouse to wait tables, which I really wasn't allowed to do because I was hired as a busgirl and I had absolutely no experience. But I think it was the way that she liked to, exercise control and do what she wanted. So she sent me out to the clubhouse, and there was a woman there. And my first week there, she said, "Honey, I want to get fresh squeezed orange juice. Fresh squeezed, okay? Fresh squeezed." And she put her hand on my hand to really emphasize fresh squeezed. So I was like, okay. So I go into the kitchen and I'm like, Mrs. Fink wants fresh squeezed. And she's like, we know how to handle Mrs. Fink. So she pours a glass of Minute Maid from the carton. And she opens up the refrigerator and there's a big bowl of like greasy pulp. And she takes a spoonful and she just dumps it on top. And I think for a lot of the wait staff, this was how these little acts of like rebellion was how they dealt with some of the patrons there. And there was another boy that was working there that summer. His name was like Russell. And Russell had worked there every summer, like during college, since he was in high school. And he would go to college during the year. And all the kitchen staff, they thought it would be a great idea if Russell and I got together because we were the only two Jewish kids working in the kitchen. And so they were always trying to like set us up. And one afternoon, Rosemary pulled me aside and she said to me, listen, Russell is gonna be someone someday. And I was like, I think I'm gonna be someone someday. But I was really not that sure, not as sure as Rosemary was about Russell. And she just looked at me and she's like, don't be foolish, Terry. So Russell and I did become friends, and one afternoon we were working the card room. And the card room was where members played poker and they played mahjong, and our job there was to sort of just keep the buffet stocked with, water and drinks and like nuts and pretzels, but we were not to give wait staff. Like we weren't supposed to wait on the members. And I'm wiping down tables, and Russell comes in with 2 big pitchers of ice water, and there's like a poker game going on, and one of the members says, oh, good, you're here. I want a glass of water, please. And Russell just says, the water is right here, pointing to the buffet, like doing the Price is Right. And the member's like, no, I want you to bring it to me. And he wasn't like so snotty about it. It was almost like he was like explaining an American custom to like a newly arrived immigrant. And something in Russell snapped because he said, you know what? We're not so different, you and I. I live in this neighborhood. I'm going to medical school. And I'm like wiping tables and I just freeze because I'm like, oh my God, he is going to get in so much trouble. And the other guy, another guy at the poker game, big tan golf clothes, he goes, whoa, hey, calm down. And he like comes up and he puts his arm around Russell and he's like, just that we're not so different. And he's like, no, of course not. He goes, my friend, he just lost a lot of money. And he's like sort of calming him down like a grandfather. And he's like, he's just thirsty, that's all. He goes, you know what, I'll get the water. And Russell's like, no, I'll get it. It's my job. And he gets it. And, I always had the distinct impression that he kind of like resented the members, but yet aspired to them a little bit too. And afterwards I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you talked back to a member. And I thought, you're gonna get fired. And it's still early in the summer, you can't get fired yet. And we just waited, we just waited for him to get called in from the manager, to get yelled at or get fired. But you know what? It never came. Because those members, They didn't really think about us. We were just a staff. That was it. We weren't worth their time.
Terry, everybody.